Hare Krishna. My name is Vaiṣṇava-saṅga. My spiritual nickname is Shakti. I was born in South Africa, Johannesburg. My parents were both teachers, and they lived in Deep Kloof Extension, where I was born. And my mom came from a very strict religious family. My father's mother, my grandmother, was very also spiritual and religious, but she had like a strong third eye. And I was born to these, their names is Sylvia and Norman. So my dad's name is Norman, my mom's name is Sylvia. And we had a big house in a section of Soweto called Deep Kloof. And my mom and dad were doing very well. But tragedy struck our family, and when I was 6 and my brother was 8, my mom passed away. She got hit by a car and she died on the way to hospital. This turned our family around and broke our family. Because my mother was a very, very strong woman and the brain behind the family. And so my father struggled a lot without my mother. And I went to live with my grandparents, and my brother remained with my father. In my grandparents' house, I was loved, I was cared for, I was very well treated. My grandparents are very pious people, very religious. We went to church every Sunday. They did a lot of service in church, the Anglican church in Soweto, Meadowlands. And yeah, I was forced off, not forced, but we all had to go to church every Sunday. I attended Sunday school and I liked it, I loved it. I found friends in church. I participated in the youth activities. We had youth activities like beauty contests and dancing activities, and I participated in all of them. And we had little trips in the Sunday school, and I participated in all of them. I was baptized in this very same church, and my mom grew up in this very same church. Her siblings were in this very same church, so you know, it was like home. And so when I was a teenager, being a teenager, my brother started to influence me to kind of pull back. You know, it wasn't very cool when you're a teenager to follow your the instructions of your mother or father. You know, when you're a teenager, you want to be rebellious. So my brother was a big influence in kind of saying, no, tell them we're not going to church this Sunday, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do this, you know. But because I had like good friends in church, I continued to go, you know, because my friends were in the church and I liked my friends, so I continued to go. But I never connected spiritually. I was just going to church to socialize with my friends and get dressed up, because you know, in the black community, Sundays are all about dressing up to go to church. So I loved to dress up on a Sunday and go to church and socialize with my friends. And you know, we had some nice gospel going on, but nothing really that moved me deeply. I didn't find anything that moved me deeply. I didn't read the Bible, so my friends and I would sit right at the back and we would look good, and we would sit in church and look good and talk and look good and talk, and you know, but not really listening, or you know, or really getting carried into what was being said. And so when I went to university, I studied psychology, and I became in contact, or I started to associate with Rastas, and I slowly started becoming Rastafarian. And basically Rastafarian just says that, you know, everything is Babylon and white and black. The world is black and white. And, you know, it's all about white people oppressing black people, and black people being the kings and the queens of this planet. And white people have stolen everything from black people. So I was, you know, Rastafarian and, you know, black power, and that was me in university. And then I finished my degree and I started to work in the media. I worked in a radio station in South Africa, talk radio called 702. I did my internship there, which was very nice. And I continued to work in the media. I moved from Joburg. I went to Cape Town. And in Cape Town, I was all by myself. I was working in the advertising, at an advertising agency. And basically, I did a lot of thinking, because all my friends were in Johannesburg and I was in Cape Town. And I stopped being a Rasta. But it was a lonely time in my life, but it made me very strong. After Cape Town, I moved to Kenya, Nairobi, where I worked again in the media NGO. I stayed in Nairobi for three years or so, and then I came back. And during this time, I was very kind of social. I was like a party girl, you know. And I was partying, I was socializing, I was at every festival, every party. I was, you know, drinking a lot. And when I returned to South Africa from Nairobi, I continued this kind of life, and it became disturbing because I couldn't keep a job. You know, I would stay very good jobs, but I could never keep it. You know, it would be 9 months, 1 year max, and then something would happen. You know, there would be a company party and I'll offend somebody, and next thing I'm fired, or I'm complaining about this and that. And this was, you know, I was 27 and I started feeling very depressed, so dissatisfied. Moving from one job to one job, drinking a lot, and very, 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 you know, suicidal almost. You know, I remember just feeling like life is mundane. Waking up, going to work, getting stuck in traffic, coming back, waking up, going to work, getting stuck in traffic, coming back, putting up with all the drama in the office and the energy. And South Africa is very heavy in terms of racial relationships, you know? So it's got a very heavy energy between black and white, and one has to be constantly fighting and aggressive, and you know, no one is going to do this to me, and no one is going to do that to me. And it's very tiring and very draining. So I was a little bit suicidal, you know, because my lifestyle of partying was irresponsible, you know, and I didn't really care about jobs, you know. I'd get fired or I'd quit and then stay 3 months and then get another job and, you know, blame it on who and blame it on who. And roundabout when I was 29, I had a very good friend who I grew up with in the church of my grandmother. And, you know, we were teenage friends. We kept in touch when I was in university. And we kept being friends all these years. And I remember one time he was like, you know, we all left the church of our grandparents when we went to university. And then I remember later he joined another church of spiritual ancestors or something like that. And I was like, whoa, my friend, ancestors, you know. And then when I was 29, I met him, or when I saw him again, he was a Hare Krishna devotee. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And he's like trying to explain to me, no, this Hare Krishna, and all I could see was Indian. And I was like, Indian, Indian, Indian. And coming from South Africa where, you know, everybody's divided. There's Indians, there's black people, there's white people, there's mixed people called coloreds. And we grow up, we are conditioned to separate ourselves, you know, and to dislike the groups, to dislike. This is the conditioning in South Africa. And so I disliked Indians. I disliked Indians. And so when my friend was like, Hare Krishna, Indian, I was like, oh, Indian, why? What is this Indian? And he was trying to explain to me, and it was just going over my head. I was like, you know. And then I tried to move again. I was moving a lot, and I tried to move again to another city in Johannesburg called Durban. And I was going to be the manager of my friend who was a DJ, and I was going to be her manager. And it went bad. And, you know, we got in a lot of fights, a big fight, and she sent me back to Johannesburg. And when I got to Johannesburg, I was just so disturbed, so restless, so spiritually disturbed. And I got into a big, you know, something took over my body, I think. I was under the influence of alcohol, but something else took over. And I had like a nervous breakdown in my grandmother's house. And so my grandmother called all the uncles, all the aunties. Oh my goodness, come see. She's, you know, I really broke down. I had a nervous breakdown. And the whole family kind of decided that I needed to go to rehab. So I went to rehab. I remember it was December, and I just couldn't believe that, it's come to this, that for me, it's come to this. I have to be rehabilitated. And I was checked into a rehab, and I stayed there for 40 days or something. And this completely changed my life. I met beautiful people inside, but I really did some soul searching. And of course, they offer a psychologist, so I was talking to a psychologist and kind of like, trying to find out, was it my mother's death? What is disturbing me? But while I was inside, I was also very sensitive. The minute I started to sober up, I became very sensitive. So I could feel people's energies, I could see ghosts, I could feel negative vibes, I could see possessed people in the rehab who were on crack, and I could feel that they had been possessed. And I came to this realization that when one is under the influence of whatever, negative, drugs, alcohol, there's something that goes down, and there's something that takes over this person's spirit. There's another spirit, because I remember seeing one guy who was on crack, heroin, or he was on heroin, and he came in and he was, all shaped up. But when he got sober, it was like a different human being. Like when and this realization that this addiction is like almost like a demonic possession that troubles one's spirit and influences one's spirit to behave in a negative way. And I remember trying to explain this to my psychologist, that there's a dark energy, and I often felt it, that I would do things that later I couldn't remember. I was awake, I was doing stuff, I was talking, I was active, but I could never remember. It was like something had taken over me. And so I had to, after this realization that this kind of bad and good energy that plays on us, And I did my 12-step program, and I came out, and I had to change everything. I had to change my social life. I had to change everything about me, where I was hanging out, where I was not hanging out. I had to change everything about me. And my friends, I had to lose some friends, and I moved back to my grandmother's house for protection, and I became close to this friend of mine who was a devotee, and I could now listen to him, and he gave me a book, a small book. I cannot remember what it was, but it was a Prabhupada book, and somehow it got lost. Somebody, I don't know what happened, it disappeared, literally, it disappeared. So he gave me this book, and I slowly started talking to him. One night, I had a dream that I was somewhere, and I had dusty feet. There was so much dust on my feet. And I woke up and I said, why would I